What is going on, everybody? Wow. What a game today by those Kansas City Chiefs, baby. I mean, I was completely expecting this from the beginning. Originally, I did predict, surprisingly, a 34-10 victory over the New York Jets. And if you guys do or probably do not know, if you guys watched the game or not, depending, I don't know exactly if you guys, I'm assuming most of you guys did watch the game, but I almost completely nailed that score. I'm not exactly sure why, but what I'm realizing, before I get into the specifics of the game, that I've been almost correct on a lot of scores this week. If you guys exactly remember from that roundtable that I did yesterday, what I think I did predict, and a lot of people said I was crazy at the time, I predicted, fortunately the team did not come out on top, but I predicted 34-21 would be the final score. The final score ended up being the Seahawks won 37-27. Almost exactly on the score. Today, your Chiefs beat the New York Jets 34-9. And what that means is that since I predicted 34-10 originally this morning, if you guys watched the stream on Norb's channel, I said in the chat I predicted 34-10. I was almost right on that one again. So just a little kind of stat just to throw out you there for that one. But I mean, just for good measure. But in the specifics of the game, I mean, actually, not 34-9. I mean, man, I've been saying it wrong this entire time. 35-9. Sorry. 35-9 was the final score. So almost exactly right. But specifics of the game. Number one, a couple takeaways from this. Number one, Mahomes playing like himself. I mean, I have not seen Mahomes play like this since one of my best fantasy weeks I've had this year, which was 40 points. He almost matched it today. But just looking at his stats, if you're looking at just his stats alone, you have 31 of, and this is passing, by the way, 31 of 42 for over 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, no sacks, no picks, and a 91.6 QB rating. Now, what else is, so that's obviously the biggest one. I think that, especially him playing the way it is, I think that was a huge takeaway from this game, is that he played like himself, and I was very happy about that, especially. But what I also really think came up with today was Le'Veon Bell. Just looking at Le'Veon Bell's stats today, he had 6 carries for 7 yards rushing, but receiving, he had 3 receptions for 31 yards. So I was not completely surprised by this, because obviously the big thing that was surprising to me is this. Here are a couple things that were surprising. The amount of times Clyde got the ball. Essentially, I played Noah the Bolt Bolter in fantasy this week. He had Clyde and Bell both on his team. Essentially, I think, even though my other runner, Henderson, went down with a thigh injury in that game, he did not live up to those expectations. I expected to get destroyed in the running game this week. Clearly, I did not. But I think that what we do need to learn here is you have a runner in Clyde. And I think that we learned today that Bell's more of a receiving guy, which is always very good. Because I think that was the main reason, especially I was expecting that we would only use him just for that reason, because he's more of a receiver. But the thing is, we need to use Clyde a little bit more. If you just look at that game against the Bills ran for almost 200 yards. He has it in him. But what we need to learn from this is, even though this did turn out to be not a huge rushing day because Mahomes did take over, I'm not expecting it to be like this every single game. Clyde is going to have a day when he's going to have a game like he did against the Bills. Rushed for over 200, almost over 200 yards, I believe, and had basically torn it up against the defense. I think we're going to see more days like that in the future. Wasn't today, but I'm not expecting him to have days like this in the future. Secondly, let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball. So that's the offensive side, but let's take a look at, actually, no, one more thing, my bad. One more thing we can add on to the offensive side of the ball. Travis Kelce played very well today. And just from these stats alone, he had 12 targets, went 8 of 12, 109 yards and a touchdown again. Hill was 4 of 6 with 98 and 2 touches. Hardman 7 of 9 for 96 and 1 touchdown. And Robinson 4 of 5 with 63 and 1 touchdown. And then also adding on to that, we have a couple, maybe not the best. I mean, we had a couple drives where it was a little bit sloppy, but overall, a very good offensive showing. Now, looking at the defensive side of the ball, not a pretty bad. If you're looking at the defensive side of the ball, we had today versus the New York Jets a total of 1 turnover. We won the turnover battle. It was not a huge turnover day. But the thing that was surprising to me is this. We were playing up against a very bad offense. Essentially, we were going into this game against a winless team. And what I was expecting is a very good offensive and a very good defensive showing. The offense did come up there. The defense, however, earlier on in the game, did not show up the way I wanted it to be. And what I think is, we only had, if you just look at the turnover margin here, we had 7 penalties and 1 turnover, which is a fumble. So we need to get some more possessions on there. And the other thing is, especially on defensive side, only 1 sack today. So that's essentially another thing. We need the pass rush to come more alive. We have the pass rush in us. The thing is, we need to come more alive because if you're looking at this stretch here coming up soon, you have the Panthers next week. Christian McCaffrey probably coming off the IR, so they need to step up and wrap him up. And, of course, block him when he comes out of the backfield, when he catches balls. And then you have a bye week 10. And then you have the Raiders in Vegas, in Tampa, the Broncos at home, the Dolphins on the road, who are playing very well right now. And then you have the Saints right after that in New Orleans. So that's a pretty tough stretch right there. Well, not like quote unquote tough. There's some teams that are winnable than others, but like teams that are playing well at the moment, or like could be in the fight, like the Raiders, their divisional opponent, and we've already gotten beaten by them once. We need to make sure to win that game. But that's a big stretch coming up there. So big takeaways from this game. Great offensive showing. Mahomes came to play, which is very good. The receiving core came to shine. Very good. Defense needs a little bit of work. Some drives in there were a little bit sloppy, although there were some moments when we did shine. And the other thing is, get some more sacks and some more turnovers. I expected a little bit more today, and I think that we could have easily gotten that against this team. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell. And until next time, my name is The Sports Nerd. Have a great rest of your day, and go Chiefs!